some water there and some coffee if you like.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Again, let me reintroduce, welcome. Thanks for coming here today to speak with us. To clarify some more of your credentials, let me reintroduce our council to you.
Okay.
From last night, we have Councilmember Cody, Councilmember Zelinski, Councilmember Goodspeed, Mayor Pro Tem Smith, Councilmember Whitliff, and Councilmember Gustad. So again, you had a chance to tour our community. We got to meet you a little bit last night, and a little meet and greet. We've read through your resume, but it doesn't always tell us everything about you. We'd like to know, and there's probably stuff you'd like to let us know about yourself. So in a brief summary of your experiences, can you give us some more details on your history and some of what you can bring to us?
Okay. I have good history, solid history in municipal government in Michigan. And now things have changed since I served. 08 came along and kind of changed the dynamics a little bit. But I understand Michigan statute and I understand how to get things done here. Serving as a Muskegon Township supervisor was a great experience. It's a township that's very urban, attached to the city of Muskegon, almost 20,000 residents, full service, everything, full-time fire, full-time police, water, sewer utilities, even the road department and a sanitation service run by the city, by the township. So broad experience in those areas. And we left in 08, went to Texas for 3 years. I had family in Texas. I was actually interviewing and offered a position in St. Albans, Vermont, which is up on Lake Champlain, almost to Montreal. And I'm begging them, can you please go? And my wife, there's no safety net. There we have a young child, and we have family in Texas. So we went to Texas. 3 years down there, working for Tarrant County, which is Fort Worth. My department there was very small when I got there. The Vital Records Department for the county clerk was a real small operation. In Texas, it's confusing to folks because cities can keep their own birth and death records. It's not the county clerk. And so cities do, Fort Worth did, but then they decided they wanted to get out of the vital records business and wanted to give it to the county clerk, the registrar duties. And she asked me if I wanted, what do you think? I said, she's been asked before, and my predecessor dissuaded her from doing it. So I encouraged her, if you want to do it, do it. You're an elected official, I understand what being a county clerk is, and do it. So we did. And it probably tripled, quadrupled the size of my operation, the volume, the revenues, everything. And we had to incorporate new technologies and greatly improved customer service when we did it. People loved it. We won awards from the state, and it was a really good experience. And the heat, I mentioned last night very clumsily about some health issues. My wife had some health issues because of the heat. And we had like 67 straight days of over 100-degree temperatures in the summer of 11. That's enough. And her doctor actually said you'd be better off in a colder climate, so we went to Alaska. Except she missed the cold part. She stayed in Fort Worth from November until February of 2011, 2012, and it was 40 below where I was. I didn't have a dog there, nothing, And but now where we are now in Dutch Harbor, it's very mild temperatures. She loves it. The community, it's a great community to live in. We work with the Abbey tribe that's local there, with the Native corporation that's there. Because in Alaska, when they became a state, they had to go in and do what's called the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act and parse up all the land in Alaska. And the tribes formed native corporations, and the land was all given to the native corporations. So if you weren't a city or an organized borough, it was native corporation owned land. And so anything you do development-wise, you're working with the native corporation on that kind of stuff. So that's and it's just it's a vibrant place, beautiful place. So is this, and we want to come back to be with family. I've been accused of by my pastor actually of having wanderlust, and I'll be 50 a month from today, and the wanderlust is over. I'm getting tired. So no, we only come back, we had our fourth grandbaby born a month, 2 weeks ago, July 24th. And when we found that out in December, I think the wheels started turning, to come back. So that's why I'm here in front of you. So.
Okay. And how do you think your style and expertise will be the right fit for us?
I've never been a city manager in Michigan. The tools you have more stuff available to you than a township did, and at that time. But I understand economic development, and you have all the right pieces in place. You really do. I know I believe a rising tide floats all boats. I think Kennedy and Reagan both said that. And you're ready for this economy as it comes back, and you're gonna benefit by it. And those who are prepared are gonna benefit, and you're prepared. I think I'm very collaborative. When I was with the township, Muskegon Township, there was a 4-year window of opportunity where 5 township supervisors that all touched each other, we all got along. And before that, you had decades of this, in the walls that were up. And we golfed together, we went out together, we hung out together, all us township supervisors, and we got some, millions of dollars of utility projects done. We did a joint planning commission for a corridor going north out of the city. And so I'm very collaborative in the way I want to work and the way I work with people, other units of government. It's a matter of just showing some humility and working with people, So I think that would work very well there.
We would like to know a little bit more about you. We have your work record here, and you talked a little bit about it, but we'd like to know a little bit more about you. So can you tell us what you do outside of work hours?
I hike a lot when I can. The weather doesn't always cooperate in Dutch Harbor. In fact, about 10% of the time you can actually go hiking. Beautiful hiking there. We fish a lot, especially in the summertime. We have no bears on our island, which is nice. That's part of the draw. We have foxes everywhere, and eagles, bald eagles everywhere. We probably have 1,000 bald eagles that are in the general area, and they fight for dominance on the island and stuff. I spend time with my family. We do projects around the house. We're adding a second bathroom right now. I'm learning how to use PEX and all that nice stuff to use, actually. I like to work on cars. Can't do it there necessarily because it costs $2,000 just to get a car to the island. But I want to do a project car with my son. He's 14. He's not really into cars yet, but he likes Corvettes, so we'll see how it goes. I stay active with my family. When events come up, there's always an event going on where we are, we engage, and do community stuff and stay involved. My wife is the tourism director or the director of the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and there's always something going on that she's involved in too, and so we enjoy that very much. This is a great community because you have so much citizen involvement, volunteership here is great. So.
And looking back through your career, you've obviously had some accomplishments. Can you tell us about 2 accomplishments that you take the most pride in?
I think I mentioned it last night when we did our little individual speeches that I served in Muskegon Township during a time of just declining revenues. And we had before I got there, we had just paid cash for a new fire station and a new addition on the Public Works building. And so we spent our cash, and then the economy took a turn, and revenue sharing decreased, and the projections were low, and then the state wanted to meet the projections, you know how it is. Property values were declining, so we were forced to do more with less and find creative ways to continue to deliver services to our residents. We insisted on it, and we had our public works, our roads department. Townships don't have roads departments. Muskegon Township and Bloomfield Township in Oakland County have a road department, and it's a $500,000 a year enterprise, and not actually say enterprise, I mean generically enterprise. But they do a fantastic job clearing the roads, and people want it, and they're willing to pay for it. And so you couldn't, when it came to cutting, there's certain things you just, precious things that you cannot cut, and I understand how that is. And so finding ways to continue to deliver services without layoffs and just meeting people's needs was, I think, a great accomplishment. The utility expansions we did, water and sewer, that we did under the county umbrella of Public Act 185, and we did things cooperatively with the neighboring townships to save. We actually postponed our bonding under the county, the Board of Public Works, to allow 2 other townships to get their finances ready to go bond. And it might have cost us a quarter point in interest, but we saw it as the right thing to do. And sometimes all you can do is just the next right thing, you know? And so that's what we did. And my board was on board with that. And we bonded, did a collaborative project, had to put a big sewer pipe 27 feet underground. And the water table was 3 feet, you know? So you're pumping, and it was a big project, but we got through it. And to be honest with you, the 5 township supervisors that did all this collaborative stuff all got voted out of office in 2008. And but that can't stop you from doing the next right thing, you know. So I'm proud of that, and I'd do it again. So that's 2. I can do a third one too. I mentioned Tarrant County, what we did down there with our bringing in millions of vital records on film, old film, bringing in old microfilm machines, and incorporating that with new technology. You could actually use those machines as a copier and upload those images. Now you have a digital image of that. You can play with it and fine-tune it, improve it, and then issue those records at all 7 locations around Tarrant County. Because driving downtown was kind of a drag, and people didn't want to come down there. So when we took the operation over, we were able to, people could go to any location around the county and get their record. It'd take 20 minutes. We'll have to actually find it, pull it, upload it, index it, and send it. That they could retrieve it there. But it was a great service that we offered the residents there. So it was just, I was really proud of that.
What was your role in that?
I was the vital records manager. I was managing that department. So.
All right. Is there any follow-up questions?
I guess one critical one. You're from Michigan. Are you a Lions fan?
We went to we flew in for Christmas on a Friday. On Sunday, December 21st, we got in the car and went to Soldier Field for the Lions game. Beautiful day. They won. Then they went to Green Bay for the last of the season. You know how that goes. But,
We know the rest.
I know. I love the Lions. All I hear up there is Seahawks, and I cannot stand the Seahawks. But I'm kind of an NFC North guy. I grew up being a big Vikings fan, Fran Tarkenton, all that.
Your stock just went up.
But I like personalities, like leadership. I think Aaron Rodgers is an awesome guy with Green Bay, and I just I'll tend to watch a team and appreciate them and root for them because I like the players that are involved too. I'm not a bandwagon fan. I'll always be a Lions fan, but
Thank you.
Are there any other follow-up questions? The way we'll be doing this, we have several questions here that will probably take about an hour or so.
Okay.
And we each could be asking you some of these questions. And after we're done with our areas, we'll be doing follow-up.
Okay.
And at the end, we'll ask you if you have any questions for us. So Mr. Cody, you have?
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I just have a couple of questions. Have you ever been terminated, asked to resign, or resigned before termination action? Tell us about it.
No, never.
No? Good career.
I'm told if you don't get fired at least once, you're not doing things right. But maybe I'll forget it.
Why are you thinking of leaving your current position?
We
I heard a little bit, but tell us.
Alaska's going into a pretty steep recession right now. The state is broke. They had about a $3 billion deficit in their budget this year. They dipped in the rainy day fund for that, and 3 more years, and they have no more rainy day fund if they have to keep doing that. It's going to continue. Where I live, the city of Alaska, is a very healthy economy, very healthy, well-managed fishery, #1 fishing port in the nation, so our revenues are very consistent, very, very healthy. I enjoy working there, I enjoy living there, but it is very remote. And we love our family, we love our kids, our grandkids, we have 4 of them now. And it's very expensive and too infrequent, to come back. So I love Michigan, I understand Michigan, and I love the Lakeshore. And I just jumped out of my seat when I saw this pop up on the MML website. So that's why I want to come back. I love Manistee. Been here many, many times as a child with my grandparents. So been a nice community.
Coming back here, what kind of adjustments will you have to make to your style of approach to make it a successful animal culture?
I really have to get on the ground and find out how things are working now and how what people expect out of their manager, what you expect out of your manager, and our relationship. I'm not a micromanager. I don't want to be micromanaged either, but I'm not a micromanager. I think your directors, your department heads are the experts, in what they do, and you have to let them do their job. There's an accountability there too. But you have to allow people to do their job, and that's. I don't know what kind of adjustment I'll have to make for that, but I'm not rigid. I'm not authoritarian. Kind of a democratic, involved type manager. So.
Okay. Your office position, Manistee, intend to stay in touch with the residents and the business community and the community at large?
I'm really people oriented. I've worked in sales in the past, and I love talking to people. So went up and down the street today and went and played again Johnny, a little store down there, and listened to some Grand Funk with him for a while. And they just talk to people. It reminded me, my wife said, get Kirby bags when you're out. So there's a vacuum shop over there, and met Bob over there, and got some Kirby bags from him. Cindy has them downstairs. I just like going out and talking to people, finding out what do you need, what's lacking, what would you like to see happen, and find out what the community wants. So.
Councilman Zelinski.
Okay, I'm up. You start calling people that you've worked with over the past, 5, 10 years. What are they going to say about you?
I think they would generally say I enjoyed working with him, and I was sad to see him go.
Okay.
I like to make if I'm in charge of something. I want it to be a place that people have to do 2,080 hours a year at work. Make it enjoyable. It's a lot of time that you spend together. You have to just I don't know, check egos and check the humility and just be I'm the youngest of 7, so all that stuff was beat out of me a long time ago. But I get along well with people. So.
Okay, if you're chosen, what would the first 3 months of your career look like? What would you do?
Getting to looking into the budget, looking into your revenues, your expenditures, and find out where things are. What are the priorities? Get to know the stakeholders in the community and the neighboring community. Build the trusting relationship I need to have with each of you, and build that same relationship with my direct reports and with all the employees. They have to have trust in me, and that's what I would spend the first few months developing.
So, well, who would that person be? Who would be the first person you would want to sit down and have a talk with?
Well, I had a good conversation with Jeff on the tour yesterday. He really gave it. So I'm good at, on the public works side, I got a pretty good education yesterday, and I understand, most of it anyway. I would want to talk with some of the issues that are kind of before you right now. I want to talk to you all and about directions that you kind of see yourself wanting to go. Assessing those kinds of issues, whether they're kind of hot topics from what I gather. So.
Okay, the last question for me is, what do you see in Manistee that sets us apart from other places where you've worked? And what particular skills, talents, and experiences do you have that will make your tenure here successful?
This is probably, the community itself is gorgeous. You've preserved your historical areas. That's very important. Other communities are trying to copy what you guys have down here. Developing street level retail and mixed use and possibly some living upstairs, those kinds of things. That's what downtowns are trying to do. Like I said, I'm just very collaborative. I work well with people, and I look for options and what kind of tools are out there to help us be successful with what we're doing here. My mind's not made up about stuff. I want to gather information and make decisions, wisely with input. So, does that answer your question? You got all the right pieces in place, like I said before. Everybody's got an industrial park, and everybody's marketing their industrial park and trying to attract industry. But the critical piece that companies really look at is quality of life. What's the quality of life going to be for the people we send there, or the people that go to work there? And you have it. That's what you have. And
Kind of a follow-up. What particular skill do you have that can make all that happen? What do you feel?
just being open-minded and innovative and looking for the possibilities. What kind of tools are out there. I've worked on, as the supervisor in Muskegon Township, I had a seat on the Muskegon Area First Board, which was the economic development agency for local government there, and trying to market downtown Muskegon, trying to market the wastewater site, which is thousands of acres, and they're getting maybe it's already now certified as a large lot industrial site. The problem they have is the transportation in and out and no active rail line, and so those are missing pieces. So I've done those kinds of things, putting together the attributes of a community and finding creative ways to market it and get the word out there that we're here and we want to see you come here too. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions? You've had quite a variety in your career. Can you take me some of the logic and what has driven you from the corrections officer up into your assistant city manager? What's your drive?
When I was originally intending to be either a pastor or a teacher, one of the two. I was going after a degree at Grand Valley in political science history. I was working a sales job that was 70 hours a week. I just got married in 1993, working a sales job for Keebler that was 70 hours a week easy. Trying to get through college, it was just really difficult to do. I took a job part-time with the Advocacy County Sheriff's Department, and it grew into full-time in a matter of about 6 months. And I was able to continue my education that way. I graduated college in '95, and then started grad school. December '95, I promised my wife I'd take a year off, which I did. Then January '97, I started on my graduate degree. And the schedule, the mandatory schedule flips, 12-hour shifts that we did, we just flipped to the opposite schedule. Twice a year, I believe. It wasn't going to work with my graduate school studies and classes. So I took I guess it was a promotion, kind of a lateral move to the family court as an investigator over there, and continued my graduate program. I wrote my paper, did my project on the Michigan Family Court and how it came about and the history, that kind of thing. Then I had an instant family in the meantime. Here's some providing for them too while I'm going to college. My wife and I had a business that we did, a personal chef service called Dining In, and we had clients up and down the Lakeshore, all the way to Traverse City, Grand Rapids, and we cooked for people. It was a lot of fun. I was a trained chef in a previous life too. I put in for the county clerk appointment in Muskegon County. The county clerk that was there got in some trouble and was removed from office. So I put in for the appointment, interviewed with the circuit court judges. A woman named Sue Doriat was already in the clerk's office, been there for years, had run for office before. She got the position and she hired me to come in behind her. I happened to be of the right political persuasion at the time, and she invited me in. So the party, I was involved in politics when I was younger too, and I know this is apartisan. I understand that. Some promises weren't kept to me by my political party, but they don't keep promises to anybody. I don't think. So she resigned. She retired in 2003, and some things were promised to me that didn't come about. And so Don Ailey, the Muskegon Township supervisor where I lived, called me up. We had breakfast, and he goes, "You want to retire, and you want to come in and be my deputy, and then hopefully you get appointed to my position at least." I said, "Sure." He goes, "We do as a Democrat?" I said, "Absolutely." So I switched parties, and it was in the paper. It was crazy. It was, but I knew people. I knew everybody in the party because I was the elections guy at the county, and they all had to come to see me to file for office. And I'm absolutely objective when it comes to that kind of stuff. And they invited me in. It was a warm welcome, and so I served for 4 years, 4.5 years, I guess, as Muskegon Township supervisor. Township politics being what they are, 08 came along, and I just go, I don't want to do another 4 years like before I just did. I didn't see changes happening that I wanted to happen with elected officials. So I applied for and got the job in Tarrant County, and my mother was down there, and 3 of my sisters. So we went to Texas. Like I said before, it was we did 3 years. Loved living there, but it was too hot. Went to Alaska. I wanted to get back into municipal administration, so I became the borough manager, which is a county, Bristol Bay Borough. And it's a beautiful place. It's a door to the Katmai National Park, and when you see bears at the waterfalls catching fish and stuff, that's where they do it. Is in the Katmai in Naknek Lake. It's called Brooks Camp, and so we went up there and watched the bears, and you have to walk through the woods where they are to get out there. And you're kind of paranoid. It's not something that's natural to do at all. It was beautiful, but very, very remote, very isolated. A difficult place to be. The school was substandard, and an opportunity came up in Alaska, and for about the same pay. And we talked about it, and we went. So those decisions are made. I've been married 22 years. We make those decisions together, So.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Bisbee.
From what you learned about us, what do you think our biggest challenges will be in the next 3 years? How would you tackle them? What process would you follow?
You're reading through the budget summary. I can't download anything in Dutch Harbor with the internet we have. It's very slow and very expensive. So I didn't have a chance to do a lot of reading before I made the trip over here. But the economy, you turn the corner, the economy is coming back, and property values are increasing, your tax base is getting better, but the revenues are still limited, the resources are still limited, and you have a lot of demand, for roads and for various services. It's a matter of trying to prioritize budget wisely, take input from the committee, the TIP committee, and budget accordingly, and just continue to systematically move forward on maintaining your roads and doing the things you need to do. I know there's a couple things that I read about the theater and those kinds of things. Like I said before, this is a very picturesque community. You saved your historical areas, and that's a good thing. And the theater is part of that, And I mean, you get so far into something, you don't turn around. You continue with it. You keep that commitment that previous councils have made. And so I guess could you repeat the question again?
You're on the right path.
Okay,
This
all right.
says, what you learned about us.
Yeah.
Biggest challenges would be in the next 3 years, and how would you tackle them? What process would you?
Okay. Just
You're on the track.
yeah, good. But budgeting wisely, marketing yourself, trying to attract people here to come and live here, trying to attract business to get here. I see a few vacant storefronts walking up and down the street, but I see new windows and stuff upstairs. They're doing stuff to it, and it's gonna happen. When the economy comes back, everyone's going to benefit by it. Most communities are going to benefit by it. But you have the right programs in place, and the right pieces in place to really attract people here. So that's you got that going for you. A lot of communities don't.
You steward the city. The city manager, what would you be already putting on your to-do list?
Could you repeat that?
Says, I haven't asked, can I ask it? But I hadn't asked anybody else yet, so
Yeah.
we kind of want to. As you toured the community and assumed you were the city manager, what were you already putting on your to-do list?
Working with Public Works on just a plan to restore the roads. Mill and pave on some, a full rebuild on others, and the money goes fast when you start doing that kind of stuff. But roads they're a quality of life issue and a safety issue, and you got to do it. We talked a little bit, Jeff and I did, about the age of the sewer system, the lifespan of the sewer system, the things that we're looking at. And one project we did in Muskegon Township was the old section of our township. They had cast iron pipe from the 40s and 50s. Had a lot of problems with it, a lot of root intrusions and backups and those kinds of things. There's a court case that kind of is a precedent-setting thing in Michigan, where if a sewer backs up into a home, that puts the burden of proof on the homeowner to prove that it was the city's negligence, that we knew there was a problem there and we were negligent and didn't take care of it. It's a lot of burden on the residents, and it can be a politically very unpopular stance to take. What we did was we hired a company from Canada. We're called Liquiforce, and they came in and they went manhole without turning our community upside down, a state highway, they went manhole to manhole and did a relining project on our sewer. And then they would go down and GPS mark every lateral coming off of that, every service coming off of it, go in and drill out what's called a cookie, little piece that they take off that lateral, and then line that lateral all the way to the property line. And what that did was it just completely sealed that system. And it gave integrity back to some of the old pipe. They came in way under budget, and you didn't disrupt your community to do it. It's a really good option to consider when you're doing something. So those are kind of the wheels that were turning in my head, yesterday.
What is the most difficult or ethical challenge you faced as a municipal executive? Tell us about how you handled it and what you would do differently.
I learned when I was at Muskegon Township, we had when I got there was this water war going on between my township, Lakeland Township, Dalton Township, and the county of Muskegon over control and expansion of the water system. We didn't mind the water system being expanded, but it was, they had to understand that it was our system, not theirs. And we fought this war, and there was a lot of blood, you know. And some county officials actually went to one of those townships to their board meeting, made some promises that they had no business making, and tried to divide and conquer is what they were trying to do, you know, manipulate people. And the Chronicle called me the next day and said, what do you think about what happened, you know, Dalton Township yesterday, you know, about them putting water up. There was a community, there's a little subdivision, a trailer park that really, really needed the water. And they had really bad water. And the comment, I made a comment to the Chronicle, it'll be fun to just sit back and watch. Because I knew they couldn't dig a shovel full of dirt without our say-so, without all three townships saying so. We mutually own the system together. We're gonna do it, and we did do it. But we did it right, we did it legally. But that one comment I made, you know, it'd be fun to sit back and watch, was a really cocky thing to say, and it was stupid. And I forgot about those people sitting up there in the neighboring township that really needed water, and it wasn't a fun issue to them at all. But we got the water up there, and the county fired their attorney. Was, like I said, there's a lot of blood in the water at the time, and we got through it.
What is the most important skill a manager can have when it comes to manager-council relationship success? Tell us about a time you had to rely on the talent to build or improve relations.
Communication, frequent, continual communication, and bringing information to you is the most important thing that we can do. You know, trust me that I'm going to bring you the things you need to know about. You don't want to get bogged down in the weeds and the minutia of stuff, but you need to know what's going on. And I've been elected, and you don't want to get broadsided by stuff. It's no fun. And yeah, I would just say this: that open, trusting communication, you know, between us is what needs to happen.
Now you said early on there in Muskegon, you said a stupid remark. But what did you take away from that? What did you learn, and how did you apply that going forward in your career?
It was a very humbling thing, you know. I've never forgotten it, you know. And you have to be very, very careful with the media, especially with, you know, now it's Facebook, it's all these different things, communication tools.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to be very careful what you do and what you say, because there are other people that don't see the humor or don't see it the way you see it.
Would you say you had made those missteps later on in your
No.
career?
No.
That you said that was
a learning experience. I didn't get any backlash from it, you know. Not. I think I might have heard a comment, but didn't really get the backlash from it. But I just kind of internalized it and realized, you know, after it was printed, that man, I really should have said that, you know. So.
okay. Thank you. Another follow-up.
What is the most important role the council plays in the success of a community's future, and what will you do to assure that we are effective in that task?
By just continuing to bring you information when there's something in front of us and a direction we need to go, either this way or this way. You need to know. You need to rely on staff to bring that information to you, and just, you know, clear the hurdles, make the picture very clear, and maybe talk about both sides. But this is the best option that I see as a recommendation to you. And
When you do that, do you find it best to provide your council with recommendations for action, or merely options for which they would choose?
you can talk about both. You know, you can talk about the various options and explore the various options. I like to write a memo that kind of really digs into that stuff. Here's the background, these are external forces that are kind of acting on us. This is where we're trying to go and talk about the different options. But I would prefer to boil it down to a recommendation to you. I'm not insulted if you don't take it, but I think that's kind of how I prefer to do it. But if it's not the way you want to do it, we can always change that.
Are you more of a manager or a leader? And can you describe how you exemplify the best of that quality?
That's a good question. You have to be able to both and have equal strengths on both of those issues. I enjoy both. I enjoy managing people, managing an organization, and leading, because you mentioned ethical decisions earlier, and you have to make, everything you do has to be ethical when you're in these positions. And so I know I'm the kind of leader that I would want to have. And so that's what I try to be to those that I lead, As far as management goes, just, have your systems in place, you have and go listen to your department heads, listen to the experts, include them in the decisions that involve them, that are going to affect their departments. And that's to me, that's the best way to lead. To manage, I should have said, sorry.
When hiring a new department director to join your team, what skills and characteristics should they need to possess and why?
They really need to be accredited, experience in their vocation, in their area of expertise. They got to have a depth of experience, and hopefully the proper certifications they need to do that job. I would prefer that they be just, you don't know up front when you're interviewing somebody what the real deal is going to be down the road. What's the chemistry going to be? Are they good to get along with? Do they maintain a positive work environment? Those are my preferences. You can't always tell at the hiring table. So.
Any follow-up? Ms. Roloff?
Welcome, good afternoon.
Thanks.
First question that I have, getting to a collaborative agreement on contentious issues is always difficult. Some municipalities face tough financial choices. Others struggle with resident disagreements. What are the plan for the future? Walk us through a time when you faced a particularly diverse problem and tell us the process you need to get both parties to say yes.
I mentioned the water war, as the Muskegon Chronicle called it, that we had going between 3 townships in the county. Getting to the end of that, trying to just simply convince the county commissioners that will listen to us. I know what you're being told, but this is what the law says. This is what it says. Act 185 says basically, as long as there's debt on the system, the county finances that the county has managing control over the system until there's no more debt, and then ownership reverts back to the townships. It's ours, it belongs to us. And when we can finally get that point across, we were able to come together again, and because the relationship had been blown up between us and the county. We restored that. And it takes, like I said, everybody's got to check their egos at the door, have some humility, and sit down and talk with each other. And we did that. And in the end, we bonded under Public Act 185, went north with the water line to Michigan Adventure Amusement Park, got it done. And then, just before this happened, the first thing I had to do when I became township supervisor was sign for $7 million that we just bonded for as an individual township, because We couldn't do it under Public Act 185 because the county wouldn't do it for us. That's where the relationship was. The county should never say no to a municipality like that, but they did. So we bonded separately for that. Then, later on, after the water was over, we went ahead and we're going to bond for this big sewer project with these two other townships, and we did it under Public Act 185 with the county, and we were able to restore our relationship and build trust. The township had a north side water system that was joint owned between us and two other townships. That's the one we expanded. But we also had the east side system, which is the old water system on the south part of the township. Should be the south side system, but it's called the east side. It was unfortunate that we couldn't roll all. We bonded to expand on that system with the $7 million I talked about. We couldn't. We'd love to make one water system out of it, but we couldn't do it because of the separate debt that was on the system by the township. But we did turn over management of that system to the county Department of Public Works. That's where our relationship had gotten to. We were able to go and say, we're going to give the system to you to run. They can do it so much more efficiently. Economies of scale are there. The billing was better. People could still come in the township and make their payment. And it's all real time. But we gave, because of economies of scale, we gave the system to the county to run. And the trust was back there again. And it was good. The benefits, it benefits the community as a whole. So that's what we do.
Thank you. Next question. Looking back over your career so far, what do you see as the most creative or innovative project or program you were involved with? Tell us about it and who you involved in getting done and why.
It would probably again be the expansion and cooperation, the collaboration we did on our sewer system expansion in Muskegon Township. And I think we borrowed $25 or $26 million altogether, 18 of it being Muskegon Townships, and the other was divided up between Dalton Township to the north and Eggleston Township to the east. We sized these pipes. We put this pipe 27 feet underground. The county built a new lift station, and this pipe, that's where it went, was to this new lift station the county built as part of this whole project. It allowed Eggleston to shut down, I forget how many, 5 or 6 lift stations on the western part of the western half of their township, and gravity feed to that line. And the O&M savings on that alone was fantastic for them, and it benefited them. So I think I'm really proud of having done that. The guy that was my mentor in Public Works, his name was Dave Fisher. He had worked for the county, Department of Public Works for 20 years. The city first, then the county. Came to Muskegon Township before I arrived out there. Just an awesome guy. He ended up becoming county drain commissioner. It was the perfect job for him because he had so much knowledge and so creative. And he died of cancer about 1.5 years ago, which was very unfortunate. The last thing I did was get him some halibut because he wanted some halibut, so I sent some to him. But that's probably what I was most proud of.
Thank you. And the last question. Every Michigan community has faced severe financial difficulties over the last decade. When you look over our budget and forecast over the next couple of years, what do you see, and what are you bringing to the table to help us meet the needs?
I see the need still outweighing the revenues. The big issue that I've heard many people talk about on the street in the meeting last night is the road issue. Trying to do more with less. Jeff showed me the portion of the road that needs a complete rebuild on it. It's not a very big portion of the road, but you can dump a lot of money into it, and it's got to be done. It's a matter of just prioritizing and systematically working your way through. The deferred maintenance on roads it increases the cost at the other end. So to stay on top of that stuff is very important, and it just has to become a budget item, a budget priority. And like I said, take the advice of your committee, but the decision stops right here. So,
Thank you.
Is there any follow-up questions? I have one. You consistently talked about the bad relationship that the township had with the county, but before you left, that relationship had greatly improved,
yeah.
where you could accomplish projects. In a few short words, can you tell me what specifically you did to improve that relationship?
The big part of it was just not filing a lawsuit, keeping the lawyers out of it. You know, that's how we got there. We all took turns various times getting fed up and let's just sue them, you know, and then we take turns cooling each other off too, you know, and it was heated, it was emotional. But in the end, one county commissioner who also died of cancer not long after this happened, he's from the Whitehall Montague area. We were at the regional commission at Windsor Dick. And the director of Windsor Dick was facilitating this meeting between us to try to get through this. And just trying to convince him, Steve, this is what the law says. You know, a guy named Joel Peel is the guy who is an attorney at Manistee. He wrote the law, you know. And I've talked with him, and I said, this is what it says. And finally, Steve Wisniewski was his name. He goes, you know what, I'm gonna trust you guys. And that's all he said. And his vote, his change of attitude and perception of this thing just shifted everything. So, you know, it was just a matter of, like I said, have some humility and just sit down and talk to people. And keep, you know, if you don't communicate, you're not going to get anywhere. You have to keep communicating. You know, I'm just good at, I'm good at talking to people. I'm good at working through some of those sensitive issues with, you know, the council, my employees, you know, with stakeholders and the neighboring communities too. So.
That's really good stuff.
Yeah, that was kind of a lead into my question, and really it's intergovernmental relations, and you've answered that quite extensively. But have you had any experience working with tribal governments?
In Alaska, the tribe or the Native Corporation is involved in any kind of development that goes on. 95% of the development that goes on. They own all the land. So you have to have those good working relationships with them. We just did a cooperative project this year. Last year's one together. Last summer, we built a bridge replacement that the tribe got $1 million for, and we matched it with them. And we managed the project. They didn't have the depth of the staff to manage a project like that, so we did it. We just did a 50-50 match on it, and the tribe has access to federal funds that we can't get, you know, and so it's good to have those relationships for the good of the community, to work with them together. I knew with the tribe here, I knew Robert Lomberto. I knew it was Bob Joe, and I was at we were neighbors, and we lived around the corner from each other. His older brothers were my best friends growing up. Of the three brothers, there's only one left, which is unfortunate. And but Brian is a very good friend, and we keep in touch. And I was sad to see Robert pass away at such a young age. So I know people in the area that are involved in this stuff, and I think that I look forward to sitting down with them, you know. I don't mean to name drop like that. I don't do that, but it just seems kind of need to talk about a little bit.
Personalize it a bit. I know those folks very well too. I worked for the tribe here for 12 years.
Okay, great.
In Manistee, the city manager functions also as the human resource director. What is the most important long-lasting initiative you've developed regarding employee growth and development? And tell me what measures you use to judge that success.
Investing in your employees it can, you know, okay, you can educate your employees up, and sometimes they take the education and go somewhere else with it. It happens. But encouraging that education, encouraging training programs, encouraging professional development, making opportunity for those things is good. It's just good for your employees. I think it leads to better retention, better employee retention, and a more skilled, you know, workforce that enjoys what they're doing. When you invest in people, they're like, hey, they're investing in me, you know. It's good.
Any formalized process you use for that, or?
Not, whether it's a tuition reimbursement plan or program that you have, and they have to have constraints on them and certain hoops that have to be jumped through, of course, because it's public money that you're dealing with. And but those, you know, some of those programs are really good. A good tuition reimbursement program is nice to have. It's money, you know, it's public dollars, and those are already thin. I understand. So that there can be a cap on it or a limit to it or something, but something to, you know, to encourage your employees to you know, educate themselves and get training when it's available to them and those kinds of things.
Thank you. The city manager is also responsible for negotiating contracts with 4 different unions. Tell me about any experience you have with public unions, and explain how you approach negotiation to ensure solid work relationships post-agreement.
Honor the contract. Honor the contract. Whether it's, even if it's a piece of the contract you don't like, you still have to honor it. Always keep good faith on the table when you're sitting down and negotiate a contract with people. I've been in unions, I've been in a POAM, I've been in ASHME, and then I've been on the other side of it now too, at Muskegon Township, and in Alaska. Alaska's a big union state. So yeah, I'm at the bargaining table, you know, working with these guys. You have to just keep good faith there. Don't make promises that you can't keep. Don't make empty promises, and be able to look people in the eye and know that they can trust you. You know, usually I mean, everything is kind of on the table negotiated in Michigan. Every time we go into a contract, we're looking at healthcare, negotiating different things, the MERS level. Alaska, those things are fixed. We have the most Cadillac health plan I've ever seen in my life out there. And it's going to hit the Cadillac tax when that kicks in next year. And the retirement it's a done deal. It's a non-negotiable thing. Everybody's in the same thing, the same plan in Alaska, no matter what system, city you live in, borough, whatever, the state, all the same thing. So those things are all non-negotiable. Like I said, you go through non-financials, and then you look at the financials. That's about it. So, and you have to just maintain good working relationships with everybody post-contract. Make sure they honor the contract, and you in turn, you honor it too.
How many contracts did you say you've negotiated over the years?
A dozen, probably.
That's all I have.
No, any other questions? In those contracts, were there any specific hot topics that made the negotiations a little bit trickier or more dicey?
One of the big issue at Muskegon Township especially was premium copays. How much is the employee going to have to pay? Now, the state of Michigan passed a law requiring, I think, a 20%. There's other mechanisms too, but so that kind of equals the playing field a little bit. But yeah, that premium copay was always an issue. Pay was, of course, always an issue. You know, the retirement, you know, whether it be B3 or B4 or wherever you happen to be, it can be an issue. One thing that I did at the township was I brought in HSAs as an option for health care. And because they had a very, very Cadillac plan at the township too. And I made it was voluntary, you didn't have to do it because it doesn't work for everybody. And HSAs are great. They make people consumers again of health care instead of just swiping a card and going to the doctor. They make you a consumer, they make you think. and hopefully take better care of yourself, because the money that goes in there, we fully funded the deductible for this HSA. The township fully funded it in an account with the employee's name on it, and we still saved $100,000 a year. And that's how rich the plan was. So they go to the high deductible plan, we fund the deductible, and it's their money. And it rolls over, it rolls over, it rolls over, and keeps building if they don't use it. So that it was a good, and now it's more widespread at the township. I don't think it's mandatory. I think they still have the option of one or the other. But it's a nice plan to get into. So.
And as the management of all HR functions in your current position, you're currently doing the
Yes.
contract negotiations?
Yes.
All right, looking through Manistee, you can tell that we've had the old buildings and stuff, and we've really kind of evolved throughout our history. Some even believe that we are strategically and purposely are charting our next direction. How would you help us to get an agreed upon vision, and what would you see us capitalizing us to reset a unique sense of place?
Involvement from the community. They have the ownership has to be very wide, and bring everyone into that process. We get community ownership of this thing, buy-in, whatever you want to call it, so that it belongs to the whole community. Could you rephrase the second part of your question?
And how do you see us capitalizing on going to and resetting where our direction should be?
I think this to continue to do what you're doing. I don't have a magic pill or anything. I've seen the industrial part of your community and the industrial park. Yeah, we built one in Muskegon Township too, right before the recession hit, and it just sat there empty. Companies weren't expanding, but they're going to. When you have the infrastructure there, the utilities there, and the right tax structure and the right incentives for a company to locate, they're going to come. It's just a matter of time. Continue to just market yourself with the right vehicles for doing that, and maintain the quality of life that you have here, which is outstanding. That's what companies are. It's not all just about the numbers. Sometimes it's the intangibles, like the quality of life that makes you want to go locate somewhere. So.
And what have you personally been involved as far as economic development? What have your experiences been in your communities?
We didn't have. I looked in depth at doing a TIF for the Whitehall Road corridor when we did the water expansion up there. We had a joint planning commission with 5 townships, a non-binding planning commission, but still, at least we did it. We got together and made decisions for that corridor. After 2008, when we all got fired, the whole thing disbanded. It doesn't happen anymore, I don't think. But I looked in depth at doing a TIF up there because it would just help for the development and the needs that were going to arise up there. I've done a lot of IFTs, industrial facilities tax abatements, with industries in Muskegon Township. Had a great relationship with L3, which is the former General Dynamics Continental plant, big defense manufacturer. L3 bought the company, and the IFTs were all still in General Dynamics' name. And I brought it to I called them and said, hey, you need to get these transferred. I don't want the state treasury to ding you on any of this stuff. So I worked with them through that, got the name changed on all those IFTs. Then we got talking, and their plant is on I guess it's the west side of 31. On the east side of 31, before 31 went in, they had land over, they'd run tanks and stuff and do all this. They had a 40-acre parcel sitting there by Muskegon Community College, to the north side of the college, and it goes right into the river flats. And right next to our public works office. So I got talking with the guy and said, hey, why don't you sell it to me for $1? And so they did. And we had the Channel 13, I think, was there, all this kind of stuff, and handed them $1. I ended up paying $2. We gave them a check, of course, and then $1 for the TV. I said, okay, now there's something else I wanted. I wanted their land went all the way out through the river flats, out to the river. And I said, why don't you just give me the rest of it for a buck, we considered it a down payment. Didn't work, but, I tried. So I had a great relationship with them. Did IFTs with some other smaller companies, some sheet metal companies, and then I did several tool and die recovery zone. That whole process to allow these guys, these small, like a mom and pop tool and die shop to survive, to expand, to retool, brand new equipment without getting dinged on the taxes for it. So done a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I noticed in your resume that you took annual trips to Juneau and Washington DC. What were the purposes of those trips?
Just lobbying. Juneau is every February, March during their they have a 90-day legislative session in Alaska. Make an annual trip there. We actually put on the city of Alaska puts on a big crab feed. We bring a whole bunch of crab and throw a big party for everybody. Everybody has crab. But the way the legislators harvest through his stomach. But it's just a lobbying trip that we go on to help them, to educate them as to this is what we have going on. Dutch Harbor, City of Alaska has some huge needs. They need about $45 million to renovate their city dock to accommodate bigger ships and to accommodate everything else going on with oil and the increased traffic they're going to have. So it takes a lot of money to do that kind of stuff. And that's the same thing we go to DC for. We meet with our legislators, meet with Senator Murkowski. We met with Mark Vegas was actually campaigning. We didn't meet with him. Met with his staff. Met with our Congressman Don Young. Different departments, Army Corps of Engineers, and really made some progress with those guys because we have a dredging project that needs to happen. It's going to be about a $20 million project. We're going to do a cost share on it. But it's on their radar. They see it. We went to the Coast Guard headquarters, which is an incredible facility. We met with the admiral there about Coast Guard presence. We'd love to see an increased Coast Guard presence. We'd love to see a family duty station. They did another evaluation of us and said no again. But we love the Coast Guard there. Those guys are awesome. So you're just building relationships with all the decision makers that are there. Making them aware of your needs.
Is that something that you foresee that you continue here for the city of Manistee?
If the difference being here, when I was at Muskegon Township, I was always in communication with both state reps, only one of which was mine, but I knew the guys, and I was in touch with them, I was in touch with my state senator. And it's a full-time legislature, there's always stuff going on there. And so I kind of just kept in touch with people by cell phone. They'd call me from the floor and ask advice on something. But yeah, I'd love to continue in some form that relationship.
And how very comfortable are you with technology as a tool?
I'm waiting to see if the internet thing really takes off. But, I'm not afraid of technology. I'm not, a wizard either. My son is. Both of my sons are. But not afraid of it. It's a great tool. People usually don't even me are the best ones at doing that kind of stuff. But I'm open to it completely.
Is there any other questions?
I have one.
Okay.
Community involvement. How do you plan to involve the community? What process would you?
Usually, wherever we move, I would get to know people because of my son. I'm known as Kennan's dad, that kind of thing. But we get to know people because you got a kid out there in the community and rubbing elbows with people, and through the school, through sports, athletics, through. I'm a Lion out there. I'm part of the Alaska Dutch Harbor Lions. So I like being involved in wherever I possibly can.
So if we have an issue, a big issue, how are you going to involve the community? How are you going to get the community involved in making that decision or giving input?
Invite them in, get the word out there, put it on your Facebook page, put it in the paper, post it. If it's your strategic planning or something like that, just get it out there, make sure word gets around plenty of time in advance, and remind people of it so they'll come. Usually, people don't show up. Typically, they don't show up to council meetings unless something's wrong. Generally, people live their lives, And it's a good thing. So, and so you have to make, it's part of their day, it's part of their evening, you have to, you know, feed them or something, make it worth their while to come in, you know.
Right. Any questions? All right, now it's your turn.
Okay.
Are there any questions that you have of us that you need to know to determine whether this community would be a good fit for you?
I heard a question yesterday that somebody had, this is a dog-friendly community. It's very important. Not necessarily, not off the top of my head. I've looked at your website and looked at things enough and talked to enough people, I think I got my questions answered.
Okay. Any other tech questions that you might have for any of us?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Just other than this event. Everybody maybe.
Thank you for coming here and speaking with us. We really appreciate the time coming over from Alaska.
Yeah.